All right, today I'm talking about how imperative it is that you're constantly changing things every single day in your recovery as much as possible. And by that I mean, when I say change, I mean stop doing the eating disorder behaviors and change to do something that's pro recovery. So oftentimes you'll hear that saying of like, well, if nothing changes, nothing changes. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same results. But I kind of am starting to see or understand that actually, like, if you do the same thing, you don't get the same results. If you're continuously doing the same thing every single day in your eating disorder, you actually become more and more miserable. It's like you don't, even if, like, sometimes people will say, like, oh, well, if you're doing the same thing every day, then you're not staying the same, your weight is dropping and you're getting worse and worse. Sometimes your weight doesn't drop at all. What happens though is that you become more mentally trapped and tormented and miserable to the point where you feel like you just either don't want to live anymore or like you just want to completely give up on even any kind of effort towards recovery. And so I don't actually believe things stay the same. I feel like they get worse. The more that you're locked into your recovery, the more that you're like, I want to recover, but I can't seem to change anything, the more discouraged and frustrated, and the more that your confidence drops. However, when you are changing things, even if you're not perfect, but every day that you're looking at your day and you're like, okay, where's the disorder here, and what kinds of things can I change today? Things are going to change. Not overnight. It's not like you're going to be able to be absolutely perfect one day and then all of a sudden be recovered. But if you can look at your day and say, okay, I see here that in the mornings I struggle with getting breakfast in at a certain time, I'm delaying it X amount of minutes, and that's very disordered. I'm changing that. Tomorrow that's happening. And then I also see that at breakfast I'm picking kind of safer things, and I'm not eating as much as I really want to get full and satisfied. And so that's going to change as well. And then you actually make the change. If you continue to do that consistently, you see how eventually things will be different for the better. You see that things are going to actually change. Now, obviously with change, not just mental change happens, but physical change happens, right? Your body's going to change. Throughout recovery, as you are making these changes, your body is very likely going to change. And I say that very openly and candidly, and I talk openly with clients about this exact thing. I'm not under the notion of like, we don't talk about that. Don't say weight gain. We can't say fat. We can't say that you feel gross in your body. Like, absolutely talk about that. That's fine. Those things are going to change. But also what can change is your feelings and your perspective on what that means when your body changes. So the theme of this video is change, obviously, right? Changing your behaviors. You can do that, and that's over time going to change how you feel about yourself. It's going to change your thoughts about your eating disorder. Your eating disorder thoughts are going to come down, and they're going to stop feeling so invasive and intrusive and like they're controlling you. And over time, you're going to change that fear of your body changing. That fear of weight gain is going to change as well. It's not going to always be this insurmountable, terrifying, just all-consuming fear that you experience when you're in active recovery and you're trying so hard to run into that fear. That does change. And I think sometimes people feel defeated in recovery because they don't ever see a day where that is going to change. And so they kind of lose hope. And then they think, I can't go on like this. I cannot do recovery for this long and continue to feel this scared for the rest of my life. And you have to understand that it will change. If you continue to change your behaviors, again, you stop your eating disorder behaviors, eventually your brain is going to catch on. Eventually your brain's going to understand that this change is okay. And really that's all that recovery is. Recovery is you accepting and allowing for change without knowing for sure exactly how that's going to happen and where that's going to take you and what that's going to look like, but just trusting that it's going to be better than where you started. It's going to be better than what you're dealing with now with an eating disorder. And so I encourage you to look for things that you can change today that you're still doing that are very eating disordered, as small as they are, or really big if you're the one that's like, no, I'm just going for it, which I highly recommend, by the way. Start changing something. Start changing something. What's one thing that you can change today? And then that one thing is going to carry you on to another thing. And then you keep those things, then you add more things. And then you've got 5 or 6 things that are completely different than you used to do, and you're adding more. And you're going to realize how much of your day was just completely like tainted by an eating disorder. And hopefully as you do that, you're building confidence. And also you're starting to see more clearly that you actually can change. Things will feel different as you are brave and bold and aggressive and run towards your fears in your recovery. So that's my message to you today. Bye.